I had always felt the pull of the big city, the bright lights, and the endless possibilities. My dreams were filled with visions of towering skyscrapers, bustling streets, and the thrill of new adventures. But I was stuck in the reservoir, a place where life moved slowly, and dreams were often stifled by tradition and strict family values. My name is Rohan, and I was determined to change my fate. Life in the reservoir was simple, but it was also suffocating. My family, like many others in our community, held on tightly to our traditions and beliefs. They were proud of our heritage, our connection to the land, and the way we lived. But I longed for something more. I wanted to explore the world beyond the reservoir, to see what lay beyond the horizon. My family, however, had different plans for me. They believed that my place was here, that I should stay and continue the traditions that had been passed down through generations. Every day, I would wake up to the same routine. I would help my father with the chores, attend school, and then spend the rest of the day with my friends, wandering through the woods or swimming in the lake. It was a peaceful life, but it wasn't enough for me. I wanted to experience the excitement of the city, to meet new people, and to find my own path. One day, I stumbled upon a book that would change my life forever. It was an old, worn-out book that I found in the back of our local library. The cover was faded, and the pages were yellowed with age. The title read, "The Power of the Mind: How to Manifest Your Dreams." I had never heard of such a thing before, but the idea intrigued me. Could it really be possible to change my reality just by thinking about it? I decided to give it a try. The book talked about the power of the mind, how our thoughts could shape our reality. It explained how to use visualization and positive thinking to manifest the life we wanted. I was skeptical at first, but the more I read, the more it made sense. I began to practice the techniques described in the book. Every night before I went to bed, I would close my eyes and imagine myself in the big city. I would picture myself walking down the busy streets, surrounded by people, feeling the energy and excitement of the city. I would imagine my family supporting me, encouraging me to follow my dreams. At first, nothing seemed to change. My family was still as strict as ever, and I was still stuck in the reservoir. But I didn't give up. I kept practicing, night after night, visualizing my dream life with as much detail and emotion as I could muster. I imagined myself packing my bags, saying goodbye to my family, and setting off on my adventure. I imagined the freedom I would feel, the joy of discovering new places, and the satisfaction of living my dream. Weeks went by, and I began to notice small changes. My family seemed to be more relaxed around me. My father, who was usually very strict, started to ask me about my dreams and what I wanted to do with my life. My mother, who was always worried about my safety, began to trust me more. They still had their reservations, but I could feel their resistance softening. One night, as I was practicing my visualization, something strange happened. I felt a shift, as if the boundaries between my imagination and reality were beginning to blur. It was a subtle feeling, but it was enough to make me believe that something was happening. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of anticipation. I had a feeling that something was about to change. That day, my parents called me into the living room. They had a serious look on their faces, and I braced myself for what was to come. My father spoke first. "Rohan," he said, "we've been thinking a lot about your future. We know that you have dreams that go beyond the reservoir, and we don't want to hold you back. We've decided that it's time for you to follow your heart." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was as if my dreams were finally coming true. My father continued, "We've talked it over, and we think it's best if you go to the city and see what it's like. We'll give you some money to get started, and we'll be here to support you if you need anything." Tears welled up in my eyes as I realized that my family was giving me the freedom I had always wanted. They were letting me go, allowing me to explore the world and find my own path. I was overwhelmed with gratitude and excitement. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. I packed my bags, said goodbye to my friends, and prepared to leave the reservoir. My family gave me their blessings, and my father handed me a small envelope with some money to help me get started. It wasn't much, but it was enough to get me to the city and find a place to stay. The day I left the reservoir was bittersweet. I was excited about the new adventure that awaited me, but I was also sad to leave behind the place I had called home for so many years. As I boarded the bus that would take me to the city, I looked back at my family, standing there with smiles on their faces. I knew that I would always carry a piece of the reservoir with me, no matter where I went. When I arrived in the city, it was everything I had imagined and more. The streets were bustling with people. The buildings were tall and majestic, and the energy of the city was electric. I felt like I had stepped into a different world, one full of possibilities and excitement. I found a small apartment in a bustling neighborhood and started looking for a job. It wasn't easy at first. The city was big, and I was just one of many people trying to make a life for themselves. But I didn't let that discourage me. I kept practicing the visualization techniques I had learned, imagining myself finding the perfect job and making a life for myself in the city. After a few weeks of searching, I finally found a job at a small cafe in the heart of the city. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a start. I worked hard, saved up my money, and slowly began to build a life for myself. I made new friends, explored the city, and soaked up everything it had to offer. As time went on, I realized that the city was more than just a place to live. It was a place where I could grow, learn, and become the person I had always wanted to be. I took up new hobbies, enrolled in classes, and started to find my place in the world. Looking back, I realized that the power of the mind is real. The techniques I learned in that old book helped me change my life in ways I never thought possible. By believing in myself and visualizing my dreams, I was able to manifest the life I had always wanted. And it all started with a simple thought, a desire to change my reality and live the life of my dreams. As I walked down the busy streets of the city, I can't help but smile. I've come a long way from the reservoir, and I know that this is just the beginning. There are still so many things I want to do, places I want to see, and dreams I want to achieve. But I know that with the power of the mind, anything is possible.